What a lovely surprise. Welcome. Qixing, why don't you go downstairs and get the shopkeeper to make us a fresh pot of tea? I heard that you've been traveling all over the place recently. I would very much like to hear your adventures.
Uncle Tian, we're more concerned about your health. You alright?
Told you, didn't she?
Not just stepping down.
Don't worry. I'm quite alright. It's just the years gradually catching up with me. As I grow older, I'm starting to find that with many things, though the mind is willing, the flesh is weak. I am still very much in good standing as the Tianshu today. Nevertheless, I wish to pass on the position before my mental acuity begins to decline beyond redemption.
How difficult is it to transfer the Tianshu position?
Oh, well, you see, the Tianshu is a rather unique position among the
Could you explain, old man?
Historically speaking, the Tianshu rarely appears in public. We stay behind the scenes, planning and giving advice. So a public selection process would not be suitable.
So you gotta go about your own intuition for selecting them, huh?
We also want to keep any prospective Tianshu candidates free from influence by outside forces. So we tend to be as discreet as possible in their assessment and appointment. For these reasons, the incumbent Tianshu typically recommends their candidate of choice, and this is then approved by the other Qixing members.
So in other words, you pick someone, and then Lady Qixing, Lady Ningguang, and the other Qixing appoint them?
Ding ding ding.
Correct. Unfortunately, due to my health, I won't be able to assess every candidate myself. Not to despair, however, because I found someone exceptionally capable to act on my behalf as assessment officer. In fact, I believe you recently became acquainted with her yourself.
I got her the 89 pool, old man.
Huh? Who is it?
She sure was a pain, but
I'm
she's
heartbroken.
finally
I thought it might take
acquainted
you a
with
little
me.
longer than this to forget all about me.
Well, Yelan, a lot of stuff happened back then, alright? You were the last of my concerns back then. Considering you were pretty capable to take good care of yourself, right? Yelan.
Jackpot. Uncle Tian here asked me to assess 3 candidates for him.
3 a.m.
Fancy joining me? You'll be among the first to get to know the next Tianshu. Might be a good opportunity for you.
Am I even allowed to check all of this? I mean, I get my standing in Leerweb. Well, you know, I'm not a great fan of politics, but, you know, it's a good opportunity. And, you know, it's not like I really give a shit about my brother at this point if I'm going around looking at political affairs in countries.
Paimon thinks so too.
Paimon, one of us needs to stay focused,
Though,
alright?
I gotta say, Uncle Tian, you say you're into behind-the-scenes planning? My work's of the covert variety, too. Don't you think I might make a good Tianshu?
That's what I was thinking too, Uncle Tian. What's your thoughts?
I'm not opposed to the idea, but I suspect Ningguang wouldn't let you go very easily after how long you've been working together. So how about this? If your investigation reveals that none of the other candidates are qualified for the position, I'll recommend you for the job.
Deal. Well, you guys take your time. Everything's all set for the assessments to go ahead. Meet me on the first floor when you're ready. Until then, have a pleasant conversation. Oh, and no need to pay for your tea. As the new owner of this fine
New
establishment,
owner?
this runs on the house.
Did they ever find the corpse of the previous owner? After telling Uncle Tian about your recent adventures, you return to the entrance of the tea house.
You're all set?
You know it.
Uncle Tian seems really worn down. It's like all his energy's gone.
He's old, Paimon.
Yeah, it may sound harsh, but Uncle Tian is past his prime. He's not cut out for this anymore. So he's recommended 3 candidates. Their names are Qinwei, Mingbo, and Zhi. Qinwei is a wealthy entrepreneur. Mingbo works at the Liyue Ministry of Civil Affairs, and Zhi is focused on study and travel.
Interesting.
Try to keep all that in mind.
No, that's your job, right?
Of course, it doesn't really matter if you forget, since we'll be assessing them at Yuehai Pavilion in a short while.
It's like she read my mind.
Zhi.
Let's leave that until we get to Yuehai Pavilion. All right. Heads in the game, people. The stakes don't get much higher than a change in the Qixing. We can't afford to miss anything, no matter how
No, I'm
small.
coming here as a guest. Could you not, you know...
We'll keep our eyes wide open.
Do you guys not know how stupid I am?
My legs are getting sore. What is wrong with this assessment officer? This is a huge occasion and I don't even get a chair. I've dealt with all kinds of people in my time, but never have I been made to stand while I'm waiting for an appointment.
Oh, I mean, I think it's fine.
That's called being complacent. If you're happy to just accept the way things are, you'll never be able to change anything in the
It's about
future.
patience. Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Oh, come on. That's just... Now you're just being unreasonable.
You can't speak for shit.
All right, you two. Let's not get into a big argument over this.
I don't like any of
It's
these
not
three.
worth it. Qianwei, that
And I
was
haven't
a
even
bit
heard the third
uncalled for.
person.
And Mingbo, cut him some slack. We've all been standing around for a while. It's natural to be getting irritable. Look, how about this? There's no rule saying we're obliged to stand up while we wait, so why don't we borrow some chairs from the guild nearby?
Fine. They're not the best quality chairs, to be sure. But under the circumstances, it would be better than nothing.
It looks like all 3 candidates have arrived.
Oh, it was those 3?
Mm-hmm. We'll meet them formally soon. Before that, let me run you through the assessment process. I've split it into 2 stages.
I shouldn't have said it's a good
Current affairs and
opportunity.
planning,
This is way too
and
much pressure.
face-to-face interview.
On my cute
In
shoulders.
the first stage, candidates are required to submit a manifesto for Liyue's development. In the second stage, we will ask them some questions in person. Writing a manifesto takes time, so I informed them of this requirement in advance. These are the reports they submitted.
Now I gotta read too?
One of them is really thick.
It's also worth mentioning a stipulation I gave them. Whoever is appointed as the new Tianshu will be expected to implement their plan as put forward in their manifesto. Failing the occurrence of some cataclysmic event, they will not be permitted to change their plan. Therefore, these 3 piles of documents in front of us represent where each candidate stands on key policy issues.
Just don't make me read through all of
There's
this.
still some time. Have a skim through.
Oh, come on.
Get a first impression of what each person's proposing.
Qi's manifesto covers domestic affairs, foreign affairs, and checks and balances, all in great detail. The focus seems to be problem solving. It provides concise and clear solutions to various problems. It's so thick that you only have the time to skim through it roughly. Shanwei? Oh my god. Why can't I ever get these names right? Shanwei's manifesto addresses many commercial issues and provides some very penetrating analysis. His view seems to be that regulations and incentives are both indispensable. Minbu's manifesto covers domestic affairs quite comprehensively, focusing on people's livelihoods. The core principle seems to be the greater good means a world that works for everyone. That seems too childish. I mean, that's a good thought, but it doesn't work in practice.
Finished, huh?
Everyone took it very seriously.
Of course they did. They have the chance to be picked as the new Tianshu, so you can bet they're putting their best foot forward. And keep in mind, whoever gets in has to execute their plan as written. Nobody wants to have any regrets.
What do you think, Yelan?
That's for me to know and you to find out. We can talk more after the interviews. We'll see the candidates now. Let's do one at a time. Start with Qianwei.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh? So you two are the assessment officers, are you? I had assumed that given the great import of this situation, Lady Ningguang would perhaps be assessing us in person. I certainly hadn't imagined I'd be seeing 2 entirely unfamiliar faces.
He realizes this is an interview and I have the power to ruin his life forever, right?
I trust you've read through my manifesto? I'd be more than happy to clarify any details you found difficult to grasp. It was written with an expert audience in mind.
Really, with
after
one
all.
eye?
Mind your tone, mister.
Relax. It wasn't intended as a personal slight against anyone in particular.
Man, your communication
simply
skills. Did
stating
you
a
learn them from
fact.
Cloud Retainer perchance?
Cloud Retainer? You know this Adeptus? Oh, yes, I remember now. You must be the traveler that people are constantly talking
Hey, that's
about.
almighty renowned legendary traveler to you.
With your sterling reputation, you must have a respectable level of erudition. Perhaps you will be able to understand the concepts I have put forward, although I shouldn't get my hopes
Yeah,
up.
you really shouldn't because I'm stupid. I'd rather Qianwei some questions. Yelan tells him to fetch Ningbo.
Is it my turn?
Yes. Please introduce yourself.
I'm, Mingbo. I work in the Ministry of Civil Affairs. I've worked there for, 9 years, 5 months, and 3 days.
Come on,
In
man.
that
Back
time,
straight.
I've handled,
Have more confidence in yourself.
2,347 cases. I have 12 active cases at the moment. They should be concluded in, 16 days. My current work is related to urban planning, and I'm also responsible for, auditing the accounts. To be more precise, there are 3 parts to the accounts, namely...
Is it just Paimon?
Hey, you're not one to talk,
You know what?
considering the only thing
Let's
you
leave
do
the
is talk,
self-introduction
Paimon.
there and move on to some questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yelan forces her way through a few quests with Mingbo and then gets to fetch Shiyu. Shiyu?
Hello. Not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little nervous.
I like an honest person.
What would you like to know? You're here to assess me, so ask away and I'll answer your questions to the best of my ability.
Hey, I'm the one asking questions, mister.
Your manifesto is very wide in its scope, but you don't seem to be personally involved in many of the specific fields. How can you be sure that you have the ability to put your plan into action?
My thoughts exactly.
Very fair question. I completely understand where you're coming from, but I'm confident in my plan. I've visited many different places, talked to lots of people with far more expertise than myself, and my manifesto is the conclusion of these efforts. Of course, two different problems can be interconnected in very complicated ways, and you might reach two very contradictory conclusions depending on which one you're focusing on. What I've tried to do is strike a balance. In other words, present an optimal solution to all the problems as a whole.
And in Liyue, we're all about balance.
How do you plan to determine whether you are right or wrong about your proposed solution being the optimal one?
A great question. I'd start by having my colleagues and the secretaries of the Yuehai Pavilion evaluate any proposals before implementation. Post-implementation, it would all come down to the results.
He works with the support of his people too, that's good.
If it turned out that my judgment was to blame for poor results, I would take responsibility.
Nice answer. All right, next question.
He seems like a great guy. Everything he said.
Here's my take on what we just learned.
Let's hear the pro.
As you saw, Qianwei is highly knowledgeable. He proposes many excellent ideas in his manifesto, which effectively target the big issues.
But he's short-sighted.
But he is very proud and incredibly stubborn. Mingbo's plan is more thorough and more measured. You can tell he's meticulous in his work, very detail-oriented.
But his confidence isn't gonna win anyone over.
But he and Qianwei are otherwise polar opposites. Mingbo is not very articulate and comes across as very timid in conversation.
Perfect summary. Paimon couldn't agree more. You're good at this, Yelan.
Last but not least, Yi. His manifesto is full of pertinent details, his methodology is sound, and his proposals cover a broad range of fields, which is quite a rare feat. The depth he goes into in each and every area means it can only be a product of painstaking work. Plus, he is modest and good at dealing with people. But what really interests me is that many of his views happen to coincide with Uncle Tien's. Having someone like Yi take the position would certainly put Uncle Tien's mind at rest.
How did you just pronounce that? Yi? You tell Uncle Tien about the assessment process.
I see. Then it's more or less as I anticipated.
All right, then let me ask this. The ideas in Yi's manifesto are very similar to your own. Is there any particular reason behind this?
Oh, I didn't want to say anything when I gave you the list of candidates, for fear of affecting your judgment. But I can tell you now.
You twisted old man.
Those three candidates have all studied under me in the past. It's only natural that they share some similarities with me. But Qianwei went on to focus on his business, and Mingbo has always been occupied with his work at the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Of all of them, Yi was with me for the longest duration.
Yi, that's how I'm gonna call him.
So how did you get to know them all, Uncle Tien?
Qianwei was referred to me by an old friend. Mingbo came to my attention in the course of my work. As for Yi,
Fate.
we first met while fishing. Gradually, as we got to know each other, we started discussing all sorts of topics. Yi came from a poor family, and his parents died when he was very young. But he was a gifted student and a fast learner. He reminded me of a younger version of myself. So I started out giving him a few words of advice when we were out fishing and noticed how quickly he got on.
Sounds like he's family to you, Uncle Tien.
Quite. And now, all of a sudden, he's grown into a mature young man. It's a joy to see, but it also gets one thinking. The young are growing up, and I am growing old. How time flies. No one can escape the cycle of life.
I don't know, Uncle Tien. You still seem in pretty good shape to me. You might have another few years of work left in you, don't you think?
Of course he does.
Oh, you. There's really no need to console me. Having less energy than I used to isn't a
Hey, I
such
need you
bad
for advice on Ganyu.
Sounds like you sure love fishing, Uncle Tian.
Ooh, there's nothing quite like fishing to pass the time. Ooh, and freshly caught fish, they make the most beautiful fish soup with barely any preparation required.
Sounds tasty.
Doesn't it? Also, some time ago, Juri purchased a very special recipe from an old fisherman. When we've been fishing recently, Juri always brings some extra ingredients he prepared in advance. The addition of these makes the soup taste even more.
Oh man, it's already past lunchtime. Stop
That
making me
flavor
hungry.
Makes for a fond memory.
Many
But
chances,
my-
I'm sure.
Oh, can Paimon come next time too? Paimon really wants to try
She's
it.
really gonna ditch me for food one day, isn't she?
Let's get back to the matter at hand. Uncle Tian, we've reported back. Do you have a verdict?
I appointed you as the assessment officer, and I trust your judgment. Had you not asked me why Juri's ideas were so similar to mine, I was not going to mention my history with any of them. This decision must be guided by what is fair and right. Please disregard all other considerations.
It's time for you to shine,
Your
Yelan.
Final decision. Remember, you must be thorough.
Understood. Come on. Let's go talk somewhere else.
Bye-bye, Uncle Tian. Look after yourself.
You follow Yelan outside the tea house.
It's gonna be Juri, right?
What are you not telling us, Yelan?
His manifesto was written well, and he's the best speaker.
Easy. Let's not rush. There's no time limit for this assessment.
The best people often have some things they just don't want to slip.
Huh? So, are you gonna give them more tests or something?
It's too early, isn't
No,
it?
nothing like that. The assessment itself is complete. But let me give you a word of advice. Things are not always as they appear. The biggest no-no in intelligence work is to only get information from the person of interest themselves. The truth is almost always hidden beneath many layers of deception. You have to get information through many different channels. For example, Wenyuan, Shanghua.
Yes?
Huh?
Lady Yelan, what are your orders?
Are you? Wait. Did you guys just steal the Fatui robes?
Who are they? Where did they come from?
Did they scare you? These two are Wenyuan and Shanghua. They work for me as my trusted assistants. They are always standing guard nearby. They also perform various assignments as required. Shanghua is a business expert who gets his information by trading. Wenyuan relies on word of mouth. And there's also Upei.
That meathead must have been out there on sea surveillance for some time now. Is he all right? I seem to remember that he can't swim.
So we only have 2 people left him.
Nothing can take that guy down. Certainly not a little wind and waves.
Shanghua, visit all the commerce guilds and look into Qianwei's background. Wenyuan, go to the Ministry of Civil Affairs and look through Mingbo's work files.
Yes, ma'am.
So what about Juri?
It's gonna have your personal touch.
Juri, well, obviously as the most promising candidate, we will be investigating him
We?
ourselves. Let's go to the docks first. Lots of people passing through there. You can find out all kinds of things.
Gossip time.
For information, why don't we try talking to Bulai, the owner of Wanyu Boutique?
Down by the shores.
He does business at the North Wharf. Maybe he has some news for us. What's Bulai doing here today?
What are you doing outside your store?
Your asking price for this batch is just too high. I can't buy in at this price. How am I supposed to turn a profit?
Come on, hear me out. I'm telling you, this is the single best batch of Sunsetias ever. You won't find anyone who disputes that. I accidentally dropped one into a well, and even the water turned sweet.
Even so.
All right. I'll let you in on a little secret. The boss of Second Life also wants to buy from me, but I haven't responded yet. If you won't take them, I'll just have to partner with them instead. And neither of us wants that.
Okay, well, when you put it that way, I'll accept your asking price. I'll take all your stock. Don't sell a single one to Second Life. Oh, what are you doing here? And to be clear, these Sunsetias are mine. I got
more than enough in my bag, old man.
Actually, we want to ask you about a guy called Juri. Have you heard of him before?
Juri? Yes, he's quite well known. I've heard a story about him. They say he was born into poverty. His parents died when he was young, and he was treated cruelly by the local community.
I'm gonna be amazed if this guy has nothing on his record.
One of his neighbors was terribly rude to him all the time, but Juri never retaliated. And when his neighbor went bankrupt, he even helped support the family. He returned cruelty with kindness, injustice with peace offerings. A gentleman of talent and character, and... oh, how did I not notice him sooner? In fact, maybe I'm not too late. If I could hire him to be the brand ambassador for Wanyo Boutique.
He can't be Tianshu now, can he?
Man, we can
I'm
finally
on your way
play
to naive.
Why are you asking about him anyway? Well then, in that case, the higher bidder takes the...
Old man, I'm not here to negotiate with you.
That's Juri right over there. Why don't we go and talk to him?
Where?
Where?
It's him, all right. Looks like he's chatting with Yelan. Come on, let's follow them and listen in.
I'll just go and fetch an employment contract. And hey, don't try and cut me out of this. Hey!
Another damn bull
I
eye?
understand. So, you were looking to buy a wineware set? Oh, now I can see that you're a connoisseur, so I won't bother trying to con you. I trust you understand
I
our
love
shop
everyone
quite
Leeway just
well.
openly says, we're trying to con you.
The truth is, an old friend of mine, who likes to have a drink now and then, he fancies himself as a man of culture, but doesn't care for needless extravagance. So I thought I might buy him a set of high-quality fakes.
How very thoughtful of you.
High quality
Leave it
fakes.
to me, then. Come and collect it at Shigu Antiques whenever is convenient.
Thank you very much, Miss Yelan.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Juri. These days, it's quite rare for someone of your standing to still keep up with their old friends. It's nice to see. I'll be sure to pick out a good set for you. You can count on me.
I'm a professional. Just blend to the background.
Juri seems to get along really well with everyone.
What's your thoughts, Yelan?
We shouldn't jump to conclusions just yet. Let's go check out the wharf where he usually goes fishing.
Do we have to? Wait, you're not just trying to dig up some dirt on Juri because you want to be Tianshu yourself, are you?
Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. But hey, if I do become Tianshu, I'll look out for you guys.
I feel like I have the whole Qixing behind my back. So I'm good, Yelan. I want you to take care of
You'll be
yourself.
able to try all the finest food for free.
Alright, I'm in.
We will? Well, come on! Off to the South Wharf we go!
She's so easy, eh, Yelan?
I hear the anglers here sometimes sell their fish to the nearby fishmongers. Let's see what Uncle Soon has to say.
Welcome. What would you like to buy today?
We're to buy some information.
Sorry to interrupt. We're actually members of the Liyue Anglers Association, and we just wanted to ask a few questions about someone. We've heard about this young man called Juri, who's supposed to be a fantastic fisherman. Just wondering if you happen to have heard of him?
Whoa! Yelan made up a whole fake identity without batting an eyelid!
Ah, yes, Juri. He's been making quite a name for himself recently. I've got some friends who travel all over the place, and they tell me everywhere they go they meet someone who's heard of him. Apparently, he had a rather tough time growing up. Had to work several jobs alongside his studies to make ends meet. How does that saying go? What doesn't kill you makes
The
you
quarry
strong.
reference insert here.
Well, if there's anything to that logic, he's sure to be phenomenally successful one day. But I'm afraid your Anglers Association might be in for a disappointment.
What do you mean, Uncle Soon?
Oh? Why's that?
He's good at a lot of things, but fishing isn't one of them. He fishes at the wharf and sells what he catches to me on occasion. His catches are always mediocre. Not terrible, but equally nothing to write home about. If you're looking to recruit some new members, though, I do know a few top anglers I could put you in touch with.
That sounds fantastic. I've got a couple of other things to attend to right now, though, so why don't I come back some other time and we can chat over a drink? Everywhere they go, they meet someone who's heard of him. Come on, let's keep asking around.
Here to buy some fish? It's 300 for one or 3 for 1,000.
This isn't a profitable bargain, old man. I've told you this.
When they're gone, they're gone.
Hello, we're from the Society for Fish Price Research. We'd just like to ask a few questions.
Wow! She switched identity again!
The traveler's just getting more and more impressed.
Society
I don't see her smile like that.
Fish price research? I haven't done anything illegal. Stay out of my business.
Please, don't worry. We're just here to conduct a simple survey.
And Yelan can pull the wool over people's eyes because she doesn't even appear out much in public, so it's pretty impressive, yeah.
We've heard about a certain Zhi who's been selling fresh fish at low prices in this area recently. Do you know anything about this?
So this isn't about me. You should have said something, you know. I know the guy. I can tell you what I know. I haven't heard anything about him selling fresh fish.
I love
at low
everyone
prices,
Liu is
but
corrupt
it wouldn't
too.
surprise me if
Oblivion.
it was him.
Oh? Why is that?
Because he's so poor. His parents died when he was very young, and his alcoholic father still owed a huge amount of debt. No one wanted anything to do with him.
Until someone reached out to him.
He was still a kid when he first came to the wharf. His clothes were ragged, and he had a bandage wrapped around his head. He managed to survive, thanks to Uncle Tien, who gave him some food. But still to this day, he doesn't have a lot of mora to his name. I mean, he can afford to eat and everything, but you'll often see him haggling with others over just a few mora. So, I wouldn't be surprised to find out he's been selling a few fish. It's not like he catches much anyway, so it's not going to affect my business. Don't tell him.
The secret's safe with me.
You'd rather he didn't know?
Well, I spoke to him once, briefly, and I just had a feeling that he really cares what other people think of it. I think he has pretty low self-esteem, but hey, it's hardly my place to say anything. What he's achieved already puts most people to shame. And nobody's perfect. I just wouldn't want to upset him. That's all.
I see. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Not a problem. And just for the record, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the price of my fish.
The more times you say it, the less convincing it becomes.
Doesn't have a lot of mora to his name.
What are you thinking, Yelan?
Hey, it's you guys.
Wait,
What's the phrase? Oh yeah. Honored to meet you.
wait, aren't you the kid with Ningguan? Or who are you?
What brings you to me?
The truth is, we are but newcomers to this territory. We heard tell of a great
It's the kid who wants to be a great
sword
swordmaster who runs around
everything there is to know.
the
Hence, we
blacksmith.
sought you out to ask for your guidance.
Really? People said I know everything there is to know?
Do you really need to fool a child too?
Of course. We also heard that Master Dooku is a kind and virtuous swordsman who never turns away anyone who comes with questions.
Great! So what do you wish to know? Nothing happens on this street that I don't know about.
Now she's lying to a
That
kid.
seems that made his death.
So, Master Dooku,
Lies have their uses
have
too,
you heard of
Paimon.
one by the name of Zhi?
Sure have. You mean that guy that all the grown-ups are talking about these days? I've heard many tales of Jury. For example, I can't remember. Probably because it's nothing that important. I prefer stories about sword-fighting heroes.
Oh, I can completely understand that. Then let me ask you this. Do you remember roughly when the grown-ups started talking about Zhi?
Oh yeah, I know that. It was about 2 or 3 months ago. Before that, people always used to talk about Jury in a kind of nasty tone of voice. But 2 or 3 months ago, suddenly everyone started to like him. Sometimes he gives me candies. So I'm glad that people are starting to like him now.
Just as I thought.
Huh? What do you mean?
Oh, nothing virtuous, great swordsman.
I mean, just as I thought, Master Dooku is indeed as kind and virtuous as the legends claim.
I'm not that great. Oh yeah, one other thing. These days, there's a lot of people I've never seen before talking
Don't
about
tell me the
Jury stories
Fatui
in the
are
street.
behind this.
They seem like nice people.
Oh, definitely. Well then, fare thee well, Master Dooku.
Until we meet again.
Kid, I'm gonna see you running across the street eventually.
Any of that sounds strange to you?
I'm lost.
Strange? What was
And I'm stuck with an idiot. Yelan, help me.
The issue is, where did his sudden celebrity come from? It almost seems too good to be true.
It's almost like someone is, you know, trying to make a good two shoes.
sudden? Too good to be true?
So he returns cruelty with kindness and had to work to support his studies. These are the kinds of things that make someone well known in their hometown. But Uncle Soon said even his friends who travel far and wide hear about him wherever they go. That's a little over the top, if you ask me. Do you remember what Doogu Shuo said about Zhi's stories? Clearly they left him with a good impression of the guy. But beyond that, he wasn't interested in the details. That's the reaction I would expect from any normal
Yeah, there's a good person you see across the street.
Plus, There's the fact that all this praise of Jur-E
That's what I'm most puzzled about.
2 or 3 months. His childhood, his studies, the thing with his neighbor. None of these are recent events. So why are these stories only going around now?
Someone's manipulating information in the background.
When you put it like that.
Of course, if that's all there was to it, I wouldn't look into it any further. Jur-E was born into a poor family. Paying people to get his stories out there is within the rules of the game as far as I'm concerned. Problem is, do you remember what Uncle Gao said about him? He's stayed poor his whole life. Everything he's earned
He's
either
wrapped up in
spent on
some shady
studying,
business.
traveling, or paying off debts. Right. And that changes everything. It can mean a powerful faction is trying to gain influence over the Liu at
Holy
Qixing.
shit.
That's the worst case scenario. But all too often, the most pessimistic speculation turns out to be closest to the truth.
Someone's trying to gain influence over the Qixing? Even if we asked Jur-E about it, surely there's no way he'd admit it.
First, we need to find out who's supporting him. Don't worry, I've got a plan. Remember the current affairs and planning stage of the assessment? Since the successful candidate is duty-bound to implement their plan after taking office, their manifesto tells us their stance on key issues. Whoever is secretly helping Jur-E must be seeking to benefit from his actions after his appointment. So, we should be able to find some hints in Jur-E's manifesto on who we're dealing with. Come on, let's get back to Yenshang Tea House.
Oh, this is getting cool. A powerful faction. The only powerful faction I know who wants to gain influence in the Qixing is a Vitui.
All this reading is giving Paimon a headache. Let's take a break.
For once, I'm in your same brain level. Actually, wait, you read something?
Looks like I'm the first one back, as usual.
Hey, it's one of Yelan's little helpers, Shanghua.
Shanghua.
If you're
Thank
back,
you.
That means you finished investigating Tianwei, right?
You betcha. I visited all the commerce guilds and gathered a wealth of information. Every time they asked me to leave, but I always had another trick up my sleeve.
Don't drag this out. Just tell us
Exactly
your
what I was
findings.
thinking.
Yes, Lady Yelan. To summarize my findings, most people who've had interactions with Tianwei will start out complaining about how proud and arrogant he is, but then go on to give a generally positive appraisal of him.
Because he's proud and arrogant for a reason.
The young master of the Feiyun Commerce Guild said that Tianwei appears arrogant, but he's very scrupulous in the way he works. Once he signs a contract with somebody, he treats them fairly regardless of their background.
Who'd have thought?
Is it possible that his reputation is fake? Is there any way you can check the accounts of the businesses under his name?
In theory, that should be very difficult. But here's the thing. I asked around and found out that almost all of Tianwei's accounts are open to the public.
What a guy.
Where he buys from and sells to should be confidential business information, but he doesn't seem interested in protecting it at all. Tianwei often sees business opportunities that others don't, but once he's made enough mora off of it, it's like he gets sick of it and releases all of his trade secrets. It's like he wants people to know that they still can't beat him, even if he shares all of his secrets. The fact that someone like that can still make mora is pretty infuriating when you
Yeah,
think
actually, I'm kind of getting pissed.
What a strange guy. It's like he's not doing business to make mora, but instead...
It's like a game to
To
him.
validate his theories. No wonder his manifesto contains so many insights. It's all the result of his first-hand experimentation.
I'm back! Huh? How come you're here?
Aren't you the one who was supposed to
Why
die in
do
the
you
river?
think? Obviously, because I possess superior skills and am always one step ahead of the competition. Well, when you're the competition, at least.
You... Ugh, whatever. I'm not getting into an argument with you. If I hadn't had something else to take care of on the way, I would have been back
Boys,
long before
cut it
you,
out. You can
Lady
flirt
Yelan.
later.
I have finished investigating Mingbua.
Well, we're all ears.
The Ministry of Civil Affairs says that Mingbua struggles to get his words out when he gets nervous, especially when he's chatting with strangers.
Shocking.
But after a few days of getting to know him, you can pretty much have a normal conversation with him. On the whole, the feedback from the Ministry of Civil Affairs was very positive. He always considers the things that everyone else overlooks.
In your opinion, was the Ministry of Civil Affairs' appraisal of Mingbua at all exaggerated?
I don't believe so. Mingbua is someone who has slowly but surely earned the reputation he has today. According to Miss Yu, the ministry often gets Mingbua to take a final look at projects before they're implemented. People feel much more confident in something if it has his stamp of approval. Oh, and also, there was once someone in the ministry who was lying and cheating to try to advance their career. Minghua gave them the scolding of a lifetime. Apparently, he can be terrifying when he loses his temper. I haven't seen it for myself, though.
Whoa, that's hard to imagine.
Like I said before, things are not always as they appear.
Agreed.
Thank you both. You're free to go now. So, have you finished reading the manifesto?
Well, I tried to, Yelan.
Still have a bit left.
Really? You finished reading the manifesto with Yelan.
I can't see any immediate problems looking at the individual entries.
But
The only one that strikes me as a little unusual is the Qingshu Pool redevelopment plan.
what's that?
Qingshu Pool has always been home to many secrets. Plus, Ajdaha once wrought havoc there, so there are even more secrets buried deep underground. At some point, a rumor began to go around that there is great treasure buried beneath
Wait, is that the
Qingshu
place with the
Pool.
3 statues?
A long time ago, with the approval of the Qixing, a mining team conducted an exploratory excavation there.
So, did they find any treasure?
None. The ruin was completely impenetrable. The only way they could have gotten through the solid rock would have been by blowing it open with a special kind
Or
of
summoning a
explosive.
meteorite from the sky?
The technology wasn't mature enough at that time, so the
So you already know
excavation
where I'm
project
going
was
after
shut
this.
down and the treasure became a mere legend. Jur-E's manifesto focuses on solving problems, and this treasure hunt seems extremely risky. It seems out of step with the rest of his plans. Still, this one fact alone doesn't tell us much. Everyone wants to get their hands on this treasure. The treasure hoarders, the Fatui, even local Liyue factions. Did you find anything?
The Blackcliff Forge.
Oh yeah! Juri said the Blackcliff Forge workers should get right of first refusal if any suitable projects come up.
Did he now? Well, that makes everything much clearer. So Jur-E wants the Blackcliff Forge to excavate the treasure of Qingshu Pool. They do possess some specialized explosives, but it would seem more trouble than it's worth to put so many resources into a risky project like
Yeah, especially
this.
when they don't even know there's treasure down there.
Still, since the clues are pointing toward the Blackcliff Forge, we should see where they lead. This is the Blackcliff Forge. Let's look around for clues.
Nothing of note happened today. Nothing of note happened today. Payday. 3 new recruits joined. Can't believe people are willing to join us at a time like this. One of the newcomers is very skilled. He got made the team leader. Nothing of note happened today. Feels robotic.
From the back, it looks like a ledger, but it seems they also use it as a site log.
Okay, that explains why it's robotic.
We don't know who wrote it, but it's interesting, don't you think? These newcomers, who could have sent them?
Yeah, especially when the project here has been suspended
You think
indefinitely.
they're suspicious?
Yes. Look. it
I think
says
so, I'm
right
not sure
there,
about that,
one of
sorry.
them's already been promoted to team leader. At this rate, by the time the Qingshu Pool redevelopment plan is ready to roll, they'll be the technical backbone of the team. That'll give them the chance to take a lot of liberties. They can copy any secret texts or steal any treasure they find underground. Imagine if we didn't suspect anything. By the time Jur-E recommends the Blackcliff Forge for the excavation project, at most we would maybe do a fresh background check on the place. No red flags if all they did was change some key staff. And even if we decided to vet the staff individually, they'd have had more than enough time by then to come up with fake identities. That's the advantage of planning this far in advance. It was a clever
Don't
move.
underestimate him.
When you put it like that, it all makes sense. If we hadn't found this out, someone else would have stolen the treasure.
No one steals my treasure.
So, who's really behind all this?
That's a question for the newcomers. But let's start with that worker over there for now.
Excuse us, we want to ask you about the newcomers.
You want them to teach you or something? I gotta say, these newcomers are in tip-top shape. Fast learners, too. They're picking up all the skills unbelievably fast. My only complaint is that they're always going out drinking at night. But they never let us join them. I guess they just need some time to adjust. I'm sure we'll get to know each other over time.
They go out drinking. This area isn't exactly renowned for the
Exactly,
nightlife.
such a huge
I'm
distance.
guessing it's a long trip to the nearest tavern.
Nearest tavern.
You got that right. They tell me they go all the way back to Liyue Harbor to drink at Wanmin
Yeah, they go
Restaurant.
back to exchange information.
It rained after work today, so they actually stuck around at the site for a while. But as soon as the rain stopped, they went out drinking again right away. You're only young once, right? I say, if they can hack it, let them at it.
Let's go talk somewhere else.
He already found everything with just those 2 lines. Yelan takes you to a quieter place.
Looks like our hunch was on the Mora. These newcomers are very suspicious. Drinking in Liyue Harbor, huh? Some cover story. I'll wager they've been going to intelligence updates. Good thing it rained today. It means they'll leave footprints. I doubt they'd give themselves away that easily.
Ah, this is getting
Let's
cool.
follow them and try our luck.
They went that away. Hurry, we gotta catch up.
Hurry! Here's me hurrying.
These footprints are heading towards Liyue Harbor. Maybe we were wrong about them.
Paima, would you pay attention for 5 seconds before
Just
you
as I
know,
thought,
speaking your
They
mind?
didn't go to Liyue Harbor. They went that way. Judging from the direction, I'm guessing their destination was that abandoned house.
It looks like there've been many fight here, but it's hard to say for certain. This was the work of a professional, but who? These stripes in the door were likely made by a bamboo mat. That means someone slept here. But the bamboo mat is nowhere to be seen. It seems like someone was here recently, but you can't find any more clues.
Looks like we were too late. This has gotta be where the newcomers rendezvous with whoever they're working for. But all the evidence has been destroyed.
It's gotta be the Fatui.
Look at these ashes. Someone was burning documents not long before we arrived.
Could there be anything left? Maybe the wind could have blown the fire out before everything was finished burning.
The odds of that are very slim. It's practically impossible. I've checked. All the paper's been burned. There's only ash left now.
Why don't we wait for them back at the Black Cliff Forge? They've got to go back there sooner or later.
A sound idea. What do you think?
Can't count on that. Clearly they were based here at one point, but it's mysteriously abandoned now. To me, that says that whoever's behind this has moved them somewhere else to throw our investigation off course.
So they already know we're on the move.
Make no mistake, the purpose of our trip wasn't to find any solid evidence. We just need to figure out who's behind Jur-E. I smelled something peculiar the moment I came in. Those newcomers probably thought they'd be safe as long as they burned the letters. But what they failed to consider is that paper and ink from different regions
Don't tell me.
odors when they're burned.
Which region was this? I smell a very gentle fragrance.
Do you smell anything?
I took a bath for a change.
There is a certain place with a freezing cold climate where there's nothing but ice as far as the eye can see. Some wealthy people there put floral fragrance in their ink as a way of injecting.
Holy
a
shit, we're talking about
romance into
Shnesnaya,
writing.
right?
When that fragrant ink is burned, this is the exact odor that it leaves behind.
Her Majesty.
Exactly. The evidence will soon be blown away by the wind, so it's nothing we can arrest anyone with. But it's all I need. Now I know who we're dealing with. I can plan our
You
next
and me
move.
have a bone to pick against the Fatui, Yelan.
Lady Yelan! Oh, thank goodness I finally found you. I thought I'd never see you again.
So he didn't die in the river?
Don't be alarmed. This is Upei. He's Wenyuan and Shanghua's colleague. I sent him to look into Jur-E's regular contacts. Since Jur-E likes fishing, Upei thought he might know some of the fishermen and sailors, so he took a boat out to sea to ask around. So, what did you find out at sea?
While trying to not
Forgive
die
my
in sea?
incompetence. I'm afraid I've come up empty-handed. I asked all the fishermen multiple times, but none of them had any interactions with Jur-E before. Then the waves got so choppy I ended up falling overboard. Fortunately, someone managed to drag me out. When I got back, I heard that you'd gone to Black Cliff Forge and might need backup, so I went straight there as fast as I could. Didn't even stop to change my clothes.
Well, Uncle Tien said that Jur-E once bought a recipe from one of the fishermen. Did you hear anything about that at all?
What? That's news to me. No, that's not possible. It's absolutely not possible.
What the
Lady
hell?
Yelan, I'm telling you, I spoke to every single fisherman out there, and none of them mentioned anything about a recipe.
Then I wonder how that even more wonderful fish soup came about.
This is getting
soup?
way cooler than I thought it would
fish
be.
soup?
Nothing. Our priority right now is to find a way to get our hands on some solid evidence. Any suggestions?
Got some red-handed when they meet.
Not a bad idea. Upei, what do you think?
Honestly, I've already tried following Jur-E, but the guy's too cautious. Never meets with anyone suspicious.
Okay, so tailing's out.
No, we'll still need to tail him. But first, we need to do some groundwork.
Groundwork?
When you've worked in intelligence for a long time, you'll understand that no one can stay on high alert forever. Especially when he thinks he's about
That's when they're about to slip.
Tomorrow morning, I'll announce his victory at Yuehai Pavilion. Be sure to arrive on time. You won't want to
I
miss
wouldn't
the
miss
show.
it for the world.